The Public Amenities Commission meeting for the month of August to order. If I can get a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spoot.
Here.
Commissioner Roy.
Here.
Commissioner Galassi.
Here.
Chair Morocco.
Here. Okay, so we have a quorum, and now we're going to go into the salute to the flag and invocation, and Jack, I believe, is going to come up and lead us in that. So come on up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay. And you'll probably see more of Jack when we take pictures a little bit later. Okay, so it also says and invocation, so I want to start off by welcoming our two new commissioners that are here. And as Councilman Abaji said last night, they're a tremendous addition to our commission and probably the best qualified people we've had in a long time. So I do want to welcome Commissioner Spute, even though I know it's silent, Spute and Commissioner Roy to our body. I also would like to express thanks to the commissioners who used to be here. I don't know what the city has planned for them as far as recognition or honoring them, but I do think as a commission we have an opportunity to at least thank them. So going in order of where they used to sit, we have Commissioner Caldwell. He was on this commission for the last 2 years, but he also was one of our preservation links going back 8 years to 2016. He's was a member of the Leadership Redondo class of 2008, and he brought a wealth of knowledge to and experience to our issues dealing with preservation, and we'll miss him for that. He was also a balance for me to understand how to make demands on staff, so I don't do that anymore as a result of him. We have Commissioner Yusufi, and he was our first Public Amenities Commission chairperson. He is an expert on the municipal process and the finance. And as we learned last month, he is not a teacher. So, and now he's a new dad, and I think that's one of the reasons he wasn't at a lot of our meetings, is because that's a lot of responsibility. To my right side was Commissioner Rowe. He served on the Parks and Recs Commission and was the vice chair of that. And we had a recent volunteer project where he's probably spent, 40 to 60 hours of volunteer time manning a booth at the Riviera Fair, so I will miss him as well. And at the end, we had Commissioner McCauley. He was also from the Parks and Recs Commission when we were formed. He was the chair of that. He was big with the Sunset Little League, so we'll hear about that maybe. And he was instrumental on this volunteer project as well. And I'm going to say my thanks tonight because I have a feeling after tonight's meeting, we're about to lose another commissioner, and that is Commissioner Lang, whose name is up there, and hopefully she still has an opportunity to come down here, and hopefully she will. She was our architect on this body. We needed somebody with some specialized knowledge. She was the architectural expert. She was our editor of anything we had that needed editing. She was a great wordsmith, and the announcement I'm going to be making later, she was the person who actually has sent down some stuff. She is our tree expert as well for the Parks and Recs, and she also was a board member of the Sunset Little League. I will note that with Commissioner Yusufi, Rowe, and McCauley and Lang, we lose our connection to the Recs and Parks Commission and the experience that goes along with that. But again, we welcome our new members. So I did want to say thanks, and that's my invocation today, is thank you as well. And now we go to the next item, which is the approving the order of the agenda. And I'm going to make a recommendation that we move things around specifically because we do have a presentation and we would like two staff people here, and if they want to stay, they can, but we also have a whole family here. So I'm going to suggest that we go in this order. We do E, which is the blue folder items, then move L1 after E, deal with items F through I, which is consistent, switch the order of the J's, J2 first, because that one's on the actual list of historical resources, and we can get a discussion going on that, and then go to J1. Then we can go to, I'm going to recommend we do item N, which is referrals to staff. We are privileged today to have a member of the Community Development Department here, and it's an opportunity to talk to him. Then come back to item K, which is previous agendas, and then item L2, and then item M, and then item O. So really just moving item L1 out of order and switching the orders on the J's, and then adding in the N earlier in the program. So if I can get I want to make that motion. If I can get a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so that's going to be the order, and hopefully you guys all wrote it down so you can keep me to it. Blue folder items, we have two, I believe, today, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, and so there are items referring to, that both came from Commissioner Galassi. One of them is a subcommittee report, and the other is a potential subcommittee report, is referred as L3. I assume we're going to be putting it back as a committee report?
Yes.
Okay, so we need a motion to receive and file the two blue folder items. Is there any discussion?
Chair, one of them is actually a referral to staff, and the other one is just sort of a receive and file, and then I'll talk about it.
Okay, so
the committee reports under the subcommittees.
okay, so that's the L3 item, or the L2 item, I guess?
That was the that's L2.
Okay, one's a report and the other one is the Bill Brand Gateway Park Amenities recommendation. That's a referral to staff.
Yeah, it's referral to staff. The subcommittee report is under the subcommittee
Okay.
item, L1. And I think L3 was that was the,
L3 has to do with the Bill Brand Gateway Park, and then item N is the referral to staff, but it's blue folder because of when we received
Because
it,
of when
but
you
it
received
is item N because it's a referral.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Can I get a motion to receive and file the blue folders?
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Thank you. Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. The first time you get officially in the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so that passes. And I would encourage both of you, if you have questions about things along the way, please ask. We encourage you to participate as much as possible. So, and there's no question that's going to be bad. So now we move to item L1, which is the presentation of the volunteer acknowledgement certificate to Jack Rachek. If you can come forward. If you want to stand there at this point in time. Do we have somebody to take a picture at some point? Okay, great. So I appreciate you coming here. This is a really long process to get you to here. I think you're the third person ever to get this award, so we commend you on it. I actually reached out to Commissioner Lang, who was the one who nominated you initially, to give us some thoughts on you and what you bring to the table and what you bring to Sunset Little League. So I'm going to read you what she wrote. Again, so she says that Sunset Redondo serves more than 900 kids and provides something incredibly valuable to our community. a place where children can learn to play baseball and softball and build confidence, be part of a team, make friendships, and develop a love for the game. This opportunity does not simply exist on its own. It's created and sustained by an enormous amount of volunteer time, organization, and leadership. Sunset operates year-round with spring baseball and softball, summer all-stars, and fall ball, and behind every season are countless hours of planning, schedule, field maintenance, coaching, and coordination. Jack's leadership as president helps make all of that possible. He's supported by an outstanding board, coaches, parents, and volunteers, and the strength of that team is a reflection of the culture of respect, responsibility, and service that has been built around the league. It's easy to look at a busy field full of kids playing and forget how much work it takes to create that experience. Without people willing to step forward like Jack, lead, organize, and volunteer their time, those kids simply would not have this resource. Sunset Redondo is an invaluable community asset, and Jack's leadership, together with the many volunteers who support the league, are deserving of this recognition. So thank you for your service. I would like to present on behalf of the Public Amenities Commission, and I think also, if I can say it, on behalf of the Recs and Parks Commission, a volunteer acknowledgement award to you. As well as something that you can display. It's a surfboard that you can display it on your desk, in your kitchen, wherever you want to, but it's acknowledging your contribution to the community. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
And if you want your family or you to come up here so we can get pictures, we're happy to do that. And if you guys all want to stand inside so we can get the tall person, so pick your spot.
Come over a little bit, you won't be seen. There you go.
Move over more? Okay, no, he's talking to me. No.
You guys are good.
You're taller than I am standing right behind you.
Ron, if you can move over a little bit to your right, perfect. And then if you two can move over just a little bit, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, 1, 2. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. And when you get your video scoreboard, you can play that on the loop.
There we go. Thank you guys.
Thank you. And thank you, Director Orta, for making this happen as well today. Okay, so now we're going on to item F. And item F is our consent calendar. There are 4 things on the consent calendar: an affidavit for posting for the Redondo Beach Public Amenities Commission meeting for August 12th, 2026. F2 is approve the Redondo Beach Public Amenities Commission minutes on June 10th and July 8th, 2026. Receive and file the library director's report, and receive and filed updates from the Community Services Department related to historical, museum, and parks and recs activities. So we start off, is there any commissioner that wishes to pull any item from the consent calendar? What it does is it moves it from the consent calendar to the excluded consent calendar, so it'll be brought up. Okay, I'm going to be removing the minutes for both of the meetings. I may want to remove the library report if you have something to report, like the summer reading program. If you want to do that, I will remove that, and then.
Not at this time. We're coming to a close on that, and we'll have a report from the youth services manager soon on the success of the program, so thank you.
Okay, so I'm not pulling that. Do you guys want to pull anything?
No.
Okay, so what we get to do now is get some public comment on anything that's on the consent calendar. Anybody? Anybody online?
There is no one online, and I don't have any requests to speak on any items on the consent calendar.
Okay, so we are going to vote on then items F1, F3, and F4. If I can get a motion to approve those 3 consent calendar items?
Yeah.
Okay,
So please.
second?
I'll second.
Okay, so it's been moved in second. We've done the public comment on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so that's passed. We now move to the excluded consent calendar item. And I pulled aside the minutes. And as you know, I get frustrated with the quality of the minutes. Last month, we did have a discussion about what to call your assistant that's sitting to your right. She was referred to as administrative assistant, and all of a sudden in the reports now she's called an interim liaison, which I did not know existed as a thing. And that implies that you're not going to be our liaison at this point, or what is her official title?
Well, as far as the organizational structure, she's our administrative coordinator for the library. When those minutes came through, she consulted with the city clerk, and that was the title that was presented. Just as my title is library director, but I'm also liaison for the commission.
So is she an assistant liaison? Is she as administrator? I don't see the clerk that sits with our city clerk being called on the minutes, you know, the interim clerk.
I completely understand that. That was clarification from city clerk, and I can't really debate the issue. We requested that nomenclature. So if that's something you'd like us to follow up on with city clerk, I'm more than happy to do that. But Lane did clarify that with city clerk, and that was the direction we were given.
So when they did the amendments of the minutes, they basically changed everything that we had discussed. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Not everything. I think that
I mean, as far as
liaison.
Ms. Butler.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's one of the things. Going to specifically to the June minutes, besides the fact that they call Ms. Butler both the administrative coordinator and then interim liaison, and then they just go interim liaison all the way through, which they also have there's a section in here, and I think it's on page 3 of 17 for the June one. It has near the bottom the words discussion followed. And I'm not clear if that means that there is something that was discussed that's not being included in there, or why it's even necessary to put that in there. And so if you can clarify that, because it shows up in the July one, and I'll talk about that as well. And then on page 10 of 17, it uses the term more discussion followed. So again, it's not clear what is being left out or if it's even relevant to the whole thing. I do thank them for making the changes on page 7 of 17 for correcting the spelling of our mayor, our past mayor. And then on page 11 of 17, and this is a pet peeve more than anything else, and it goes to right in the middle of the page, it says Library Director Vinke opined that the commission could provide some steps. I really don't think you're opining. I think you're discussing or talking or something like that, but the choice of words is not right. Page 14 of 17, some discussion followed, again, the same issue. In July, on the minutes, we have again on page 2 of 12 that I'm opining on the minutes. I'm not opining on the minutes. And we also have the discussion about this is more so that just can be a placeholder. I had asked if staff could put together the pictures of the recipients of the award and the larger process, and Community Services Deputy Director responded to that. When we get to the staff stuff, I'll ask whether that was done. If you look at the bottom of the July minutes, there's a footer there. Each page in that says June 8th, 2026, not July 8th, 2026. And there's also on page 7, again, the more discussion follows. And on page 10, I'll come back to that at some point, of 10 or 12 with regards to Commissioner Lang stating he would like to put a report to data discussing the play yards being opened. I don't know if that's coming back at some point or what, but with all the shakeup and everything, I don't want it to get lost in there. So that's my read of the minutes. As I said at the last meeting for the June minutes, I don't, the part that I took, pointed out the last time is it tracks the transcript of the, on YouTube. So I left it, I was gonna vote no on it, and I probably still will vote no on it, but I was leaving it to the commissioners to decide if they wanted to vote yes. So is there any discussion from anybody before we go on to the?
Yeah, so just from a procedural standpoint, do you have the opportunity to approve them with listed corrections that will be made after the fact?
Yes, that's one of your options. You can make the motion if you want to.
Right, okay.
So anything else? Anybody? Okay. Is there any public comment on it?
No public comment regarding this one.
Okay, so you can do it as one motion to approve the June or July minutes, or you can break them up into two. I'll leave it to the movement, whoever wants to make the motion to receive and file these minutes. I'm not hearing anything. Okay.
I think you have a point, and we've done that before, where we've made, we've approved the minutes subject to corrections as identified.
Right, and then if that motion is put forth, do you have an opportunity to see the final edits before it's recorded?
If you're making a motion to approve them with corrections, then they're not coming back to be approved again. So if you want to see them, then we have to table the minutes until the next meeting. And then we can see them again with the corrections and approve them at that time.
And procedurally, what ends up happening is it gets posted to the city's website, and then it's almost impossible to change, so.
Okay.
But I'm leaving it to you guys. I'm already saying I'm going to be voting now, so I will follow whatever you say. I will say that, again, the June minutes reflect what was said on, you can see the transcript on YouTube. I just have procedural problems with them and clarification as to whether your administrative library assistant is, getting new titles, because I noticed it does switch you back to library director, but you are officially the liaison.
I will say I did watch the video of the June commission meeting and reviewed these minutes that were circulated as part of the agenda packet, and substantively they seem to track. So the concerns I'm hearing, or as I'm understanding, is that there are typographical errors that aren't substantively incorrect with what occurred, but are misleading if you read it as is otherwise.
Yeah, and is there a way to turn off this sound? Because I'm having a hard time hearing over.
Sorry, I'll bring it closer. I was just saying, from my own review of the video, the substance of the minutes appears to track what was discussed at the commission.
Correct.
It does appear, though, there are multiple typographical errors on the footer and throughout, other inconsistencies. And as I understand it, that is the concern that you have, that we would be memorializing those typographical errors and inconsistencies into the record, although the substance of the minutes is pretty accurate.
Yes, although I don't understand what more discussion follows is and relate to that, because it is tracking what was said, so.
Right, no, and I do share that concern that it has these sort of the vague words of more discussion follows being open. But I actually agree with your earlier point you've raised, that minutes aren't necessarily supposed to be transcripts, and this is more of a transcript than the minutes of the action items taken. The only concern I would have is that we're stuck in a loop where we're never finalizing minutes because we keep sending them back. And the question would be, is there a point where we're comfortable with the substance that we can let a few typos go so we can get the record out there for the public?
Yes, and just to clarify, the record is in the public because it's always on our agenda packet. One of the reasons I keep on saying is it tracks what was said, and you can read in the transcript, is I'm leaving it to you guys. I'm just one vote, and if you guys want to approve him, I'm fine with that. He's gotten, our liaison has gotten our feedback on it, so it's something that maybe needs to be brought up to the city manager at some point, but I brought it up to council, so it's like, if you guys think that it's, again, something you want to adopt, please do. I'm not trying to hold you back on it. So I'm just looking for a motion at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to put a motion that we adopt them, that we approve them with the listed amendments.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And I think this goes to your CLG comment. That's why one of the reasons we don't have something from the end of the last commission. Okay, all those, I think I asked for public comment already, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, anybody opposed? No? Okay, so it's 3-1, and both of them get adopted. Thank you. Okay, moving on to public participation and non-agenda items. This section is intended to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment on any subject that does not appear on the agenda for action. The section is limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the chair and commission. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once. I think we're following the new protocol where we go online first and then we go if there's any cards. Do we have any cards?
Yes, I have one card and there's no one online. The one card I have is from a Jim Mueller, I believe.
Okay. Mr. Mueller, do you want to come up for your time to comment? Thank you. No problem.
You can raise the lectern as well. On the right side, there's a little lever that raises it up for you.
It takes a while to get started.
Well, this is happening.
And
Good evening.
Are you doing the clock too, by the way?
And my clock hasn't started, so I can say good evening a few niceties.
You can talk until it
Nice to
starts.
see, welcome to the new people. The Public Amenities Commission has an opportunity to contribute to promotion and development of Artesia Boulevard, commercial neighborhood in North Redondo. Growing commercial activity and development along Artesia are city government priorities, as far as I understand. An opportunity to make progress is possible because entrepreneurs of Brazilian heritage have opened businesses in North Redondo. The August 9th LA Sunday Times California section had an article entitled "Neighborhood is Already LA's Little Brazil in Spirit." Its focus was North Redondo, specifically High Brazil, a Brazilian-owned market on Artesia featuring Brazilian foods and other Brazilian cultural items. Other Brazilian-owned businesses are close by, the Black House Mixed Martial Arts and Brazilian Glamour. In addition, Panella's restaurant, also in North Redondo, is Brazilian-themed and Brazilian-owned. The article suggested applying for an official cultural district designation for North Redondo as Little Brazil, which would bring recognition, branding assistance, and grants for promotion, and thus a boost to the Artesia area. The article claimed that about 400 Brazilians live in Redondo Beach, and many more in adjoining cities. And Brazilians are the largest immigrant group in the U.S. Redondo, having the only Little Brazil cultural district in California, would bring business to Redondo Beach, and Redondo Beach already has the basic elements to apply for a cultural district designation. The city must sponsor the application, that's one criteria. The other are, one, have a local Brazilian-owned business, and the last one, a cultural nonprofit which our Redondo Brazilians could easily organize. Once the cultural district is established, promotional events with commercial possibilities are easy to envision. Some I thought of off the top of my head are Brazilian Mardi Gras celebration with a parade and other festivities, a special Brazilian music and arts festival to draw people in who would then patronize other local businesses. I hope the commission will at least refer this to the development staff for possible future agendizing, study, and recommendation to the council.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Since we do have a representative from the community development, is it possible, well, we'll get to it when we get to referrals to staff, but it sounds like it would fall under your department as opposed to community services. Is that a correct statement?
It appears so, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we could look into it further, but on face value.
Okay, we'll say that for referrals to staff then, and that'll be one of the ones
thank you.
that we
Yeah.
do. If you stick around, we're actually doing it.
Yes, and
sooner than
I
later.
appreciate the usual enthusiasm of the economic development staff.
Thank you. Okay, and I guess I'm still required to follow that code of conduct thing with the timing, so I will try to adhere to that, but I'm also inclined to give more time if needed. Okay, so anybody else wants to speak on public comment? This is a great opportunity to speak and be part of this. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody. And again, anybody online?
There's no one online.
Okay, so we're going to close public participation on non-agenda items. Next, we go to ex-parte communications. We have 2 public hearings on today, and this is the part where we give us on the dais an opportunity to reveal or disclose any or ex-parte communications about the following public hearings. There's 2 landmark applications, one at 521 Garnett and one at 519 Garnett. So I'll start with Commissioner Galassi. Do you have any ex-parte communications?
None, Chair Morocco.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy?
None, no.
Okay, Commissioner Spute?
None.
Okay, I do have disclosure. So the historical content that you're reading, I took a part in drafting. So I'm not going to recuse myself because I have no conflict in this thing. I'm doing this as a historical person of interest. I am turning this over, however, since it is a public hearing, I'm going to turn it over to our vice chair to actually go through the public hearing part of it. I will be participating, just so you know, and I may at the end of the day end up voting to abstain. So Commissioner Galassi, I think we'll start with J2. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair Morocco. We are on item J2, and I'd like to open the public hearing for this particular item. Chair Morocco, do we need to administer the oath, or we just move on to number 2?
Well, you probably should get a motion from the group to open public hearing.
I'd like to welcome a motion to open the public hearing, please.
I second.
Okay.
Okay. And number 2, we are going to now take some testimony from staff, then the applicant, and anyone else who wishes to speak on this item. So we welcome John Champ, our senior planner, who will guide us through this presentation.
Here we go. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, before you this evening, we have one of 2 landmark applications. This is the first one, J2, which is 521 Garnett Street. Just to give a little background and context about the property and its area, it is located on the north side of Garnett Street. This is within the R3 zoning designation, which is considered multifamily residential. All of these lots are relatively small. This particular lot is 2,400 square feet, and the house is approximately 600 square feet. This property was surveyed under the city's historic inventory survey and given a rating of C. And just for some context in the area, there are 10 other adjacent historic landmark properties, as well as the recently established Garnett Historic District, which is inclusive of 501, 505, 509, and 511 Garnett Street. So all along that left-hand northern side of the block. Here we have a photo of the property in its earlier period. Again, very simple in design from this era as a traditional cottage from this period. Next slide, please. Here we have some more recent photos taken recently, still, as you can see, reflecting that original front facade and design of the building. Many of the original window openings are still there. Some of them have been replaced with aluminum windows, but as you can see, the overall fenestration and massing is the same, as well as the roof design of the home. So some of the key character defining features of this home is the covered front entry porch that is located on the one side of the house, as well as the hipped roof, and then the wide overhanging eaves and the 5 front elevation windows. Those are definitely the most predominant character defining feature elements of the home from the street elevation, which would be considered the primary elevation, as well as the board and batten siding that you could see around the entire perimeter. And as I did say, that the aluminum windows were identified to have been replaced over the years. However, that is also a reversible improvement that can be completed later on. There's been just some minor permits issued associated with this property. The county assessor identifies the property being constructed in 1908. However, the permit records in the city identify that it was constructed in 1928, so we have a little bit of a discrepancy there. However, there seems to be significant evidence, as well as in the ownership information, that it was constructed in 1908. And then other related permits that don't have any significant impact to the design or character defining features of the property are the foundation permit, as well as the electrical service permit, and most recently was the re-roof permit back in 2002. So as you can see here, the family history in terms of ownership and residence is rather extensive at this property, which is over 100 years old. There's been a whole host of owners. However, the ownership in the last 50 years has essentially remained under Leonard Rowe, as well as his sister, Diane, who is in the current ownership of this property. There are a number of different criteria that identify eligible landmarks for designation. Here you have those listed before you, and it does qualify for several of these particular criteria in terms of that it does exemplify and reflects special elements of the city's cultural, social, economic, political, aesthetic, engineering, or architectural history. This obviously was a rather modest home when it was built back in 1908. And it was reflective of that, the time period, as well as the employment class that was in this particular area. And most notably, this was one of its first ownerships was a grocery store family, as well as a military family that lived in the home, as well as many other families that lived in the home. So it is also embodying distinctive characteristic styles and types of period of development through this period, which, given that it's a craftsman design, is very similar to that architectural style of that period of development from the early 1900s, as well as it being similar in not necessarily the architectural style itself, but in terms of the overall massing scale and contributions to the Garnett district. As I previously stated, there are 10 other historic landmarks in this particular block, in that it is contributing to the unique location or singular physical characteristics representative of established familiar visual feature or landmark of a neighborhood and community. So it's the designation of this property as a landmark would continue to reinforce the historic nature of this Garnett block of the 500 block Garnett Street. So with that, staff is recommending that the Public Amenities Commission support this recommendation for a landmark designation and a CEQA exemption declaration for the property at 521 Garnett Street. So that concludes staff's presentation. Staff, as well as the applicant, are available for questions. And one last point to mention is that the property owner is interested if there is a landmark designation this evening to pursue a Mills Act agreement with the city following this, which would go forward to the city council. So that concludes my presentation.
Great. The presentation was fantastic, by the way. All the information that was supplied and, you know, everything that you've also put into it. I really was thoroughly impressed with both of the homes that are coming before us tonight. So thank you for that. Well, at this time, I'd like to invite the applicant or the applicant's representative to come forward. Good evening, sir. Would you just state your name for the record?
I'm Sean Henderson. I'm Diane's son, and I live in the 519 address next door to her.
Wonderful. Is there anything you'd like to share with us regarding this property, 521?
521 has, as he stated, been in our family for over 50 years. I lived there since I was a little over a year old, and I'm 52 now. That street has a lot of history, a lot of memories, and it means a lot to me because it's one of the very few streets that reminds me of Redondo Beach growing up. Most of Redondo Beach has been redeveloped with condos and things of that nature. So to see that little section still intact is special to me because it represents my childhood and the true definition of Redondo, which was a working class beach community full of little cottages. So hanging on to that little section is important to me.
Wonderful. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for the applicant's son?
Yes.
Yes.
Not at this time. No.
Thank you for your powerful words. They carry a lot of weight. No questions at this time.
Thank you. Chair Morocco?
I'll save it for the next section.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
And does anyone have any questions for our staff regarding this particular property?
You want to see if there's other people that want to participate in the public hearing.
Oh, okay. Would anyone else like to speak on this particular property, 521 Garnett Street? Do we have anybody online?
I don't have anyone online, and Sean was the only one who submitted that speaker card to me.
Okay, and no one else in the audience would like to speak? No, okay. So let's go down the line. Chair Morocco, do you have
To
anything?
close the public hearing part. Number 3 on the list. That may be, because the next step is to close the public hearing.
Didn't we want to ask any questions?
Okay, you can ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any. I wanted to know if anybody else had any questions for.
Yeah, I had a question for staff on that. So in your presentation, first of all, which was excellent, by the way, thank you for the amount of detail you put in there. You listed that the historic resources had a rating of C. Can you tell us a little bit about that rating system, how that works, and how that impacts staff recommendations?
Yes, so the rating of C, back when the historic survey was completed, they kind of tried to essentially grade the properties based on their integrity, And that's inclusive of, you know, how many modifications have occurred over time, as well as just the, you know, the overall sense in terms of like, has there been extensive modifications that have occurred? You know, is it very close to what the original conditions were, just generally in terms of the overall material, facade and materials, and what's the condition of those? And so ultimately, there was a grading of A, B, and C, and there was even like some pluses and minuses that went in there. And so ultimately, the particular grading itself doesn't have an impact on whether the property is eligible for a landmark designation or not, but it gives a good indication in terms of, you know, what level of integrity this particular property has. And again, the historic survey inventory that was completed is many decades old, and so those ratings in some cases might be a little stale if somebody has made improvements to their property, or maybe it has you know, remained untouched for some time. And so it gives you a snapshot in time, but is definitely a good reference point for consideration of properties.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to close the public hearing and we can begin our deliberations. Commissioner Sputia?
Spute.
Spute.
I thought the recommendation from the city, the presentation, reviewing all the materials, warrants moving forward with the application.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Roy?
Yes, I would recommend moving forward. I think it is very emblematic of Redondo Beach, and it's a good representation of its history. So,
thank you. Commissioner Morocco, Chair Morocco.
I have a question for staff, though. In the paperwork, it's called the Roclides House, which doesn't show up in the resolution at all, and was wondering if that's something that we need to do by a separate motion after we say that it's a landmark property, or is that something that gets incorporated into the resolution itself?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of that. You're saying
it's
what?
Most of our historic landmarks in the city are referred to by a title. So if you look at the house a couple doors down, you can see a sign that says the Martin House. And if you look at each of the landmarks in the city, and I think the last one that we did was the Dreisler House. So there's usually a designation, and this one, the appendage was the Roclides House because of the long-standing life there. So does that end up, when you put it on your website, does that end up being the name on it? Do we have to formally adopt something, or how does that work?
I think if you want to incorporate that in your adoption, then that would be a nice thing to, and staff can incorporate that into the resolution, and then that can carry on with the property.
Okay. And this is going to be for both of them. So as I understand the Mills Act contract timing, it has to be recorded before the end of the year, correct?
For it to count in 2 years, correct? Yes.
Okay, so if we adopt this tonight, there will be time for the city to put the resolution together and then have the contract prepared for the council?
For both properties, correct.
Okay, that's all I have.
Chair Morocco, can you repeat what you said about what your recommendation would be as far as the designation for the house, the name? Which name did you have there?
So the major people that have lived there for the last 50-plus year are Leonard Rowe and Diane Cleats, and Mr. Henderson obviously has told you what his time relates. So I thought it would be appropriate to call it the Rowe Cleats House.
I have a question on that. When in the past homes have received a particular designation, what were the criteria that that we applied to that?
It's usually up to the commission. It's usually something that's outstanding, like if you go on the street, you'll be hearing about the Husong, Reverend Husong, who's one of the early people on another property. He spent most of his time across the street, so there's actually a Husong house. You have the Martin house on it. I'm forgetting some of the names of the other houses, but each of the houses on that block actually do have names associated with it.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it in the contracts themselves, so I don't know if, again, if it's a separate resolution or if it's something that we just basically have as part of whatever we adopt as the resolution.
Do any of the other commissioners have any thoughts on that?
Just to be clear, is that name designation something that needs to be done now, or can it be done later without slowing down the process?
It probably, we can go to the experts.
Maybe I can just provide some input. I think it's most appropriate to apply a name this evening if there's an agreement. To come back in for just a name designation seems like, unless there's, a debate and, more research or something that's necessary, it seems like it might be most appropriate to apply it to the resolution this evening for the landmark designation.
I have a separate question. You mentioned about the windows, that some of the windows are aluminum that have been replaced. What are there any plans to revert back to something that was more indicative of a particular time period?
So I've spoken to the owner about that. Basically, with any landmark designation property, any modifications that are occurring to the property are to be adhering to the Secretary of Interior standards for restoration. So at the time when, replacements are occurring is when those modifications would be occurring to ensure that those are in alignment with the Secretary of Interior standards. And that really is in alignment with the Mills Act, and the goal of the Mills Act is to, with those savings in the property taxes, to help in the restoration effort of these historic properties. And so that will be something that they will be able to make those modifications over time.
So that would come back to the minor alterations subcommittee for a review, right? Something, yeah.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Chair, did we need to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Usually, yeah.
Okay, so.
Or because you don't have anybody else wanting to speak from the public, you
No.
can probably by fiat say that if there's nobody else, you can close it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
I'll second. Well, I can't second it. You can second it.
Second that.
Thank you. Okay, great. So at this time, if, I beg your pardon?
You can vote
Roll
on
call.
it. You can vote on it if you want, or it doesn't matter.
Okay, we'll take a roll call since this is a public hearing. Commissioner, tell me again your name, sorry.
Spute.
Spute.
I'm in favor.
Okay, Commissioner Roy?
Yes.
Commissioner Morocco?
This is to close the
Close,
session.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm voting yes as well. And now we'll entertain a motion for the resolution, to adopt the resolution with or without a name designation for the house.
Okay, so somebody needs to make the motion to adopt the resolution.
Would anybody like to make the motion to adopt the resolution?
To adopt it with the name added?
That's your
That's your decision.
discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt with the name added to it.
I second.
Okay. Are you going to identify the name, or are you saying that we will adopt it based on Chair Morocco's recommendation?
Based on his recommendation, yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye, yes.
I'm going to abstain on that.
Aye.
Now you
So-
just have to read the resolution.
Yes, one moment, I'm getting to it.
on the
Okay,
agenda.
yep. So J2, resolution of the Public Amenities Commission of the City of Redondo Beach, California, approving a historic landmark designation for the property located at 521 Garnett Street, pursuant to the requirements of Chapter 4, Title 10 of the Redondo Beach Municipal Code, including the name of the current homeowners. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Okay. And now we are moving to J1, public hearing considering a request for designation of the building and property at 519 Garnett Street as a local historic landmark pursuant to Chapter 4, Title 10 of the Redondo Beach Municipal Code. The applicants are Diane Kleitz, Living Trust, and Daniel L. Kleitz, trustee. I would like to entertain a motion to open a public hearing, please.
I motion to open it.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And at this time, we would like to take testimony from staff, please.
Good evening again. Before you this evening is a request for a landmark designation for 519 Garnett Street, the adjacent property to the left or west of what we that we just viewed. Again, just some quick high-level context about the property. Again, it's also located on the north side of Garnett Street within the R3 zoning designation. This lot is just a little bit smaller than the other one at 2,000 square feet with a house that's 576 square feet in size. This property was not listed on the city's historic survey. However, in review of the city's records of other landmark designated properties, actually the property to the immediately to the west at 517 was also not designated and I surveyed in the city's historic inventory, but also was landmark listed. So there is a precedent for listing properties that were not evaluated at that time and included in there. Again, there are 10 adjacent historic properties along this block, as well as the recently established Garnett District. Here we have a photo of the home during its earlier period of existence. It's very similar architectural style with some slight subtleties in terms of the large window in the front. This one has the clapboard wood siding versus the board and batten that was on the other properties, but it does have the same hip-styled roof, large overhanged eaves, and then the one-sided covered entry porch. So these are all very strong characteristics of this cottage-style architecture from the time. As you can see, the conditions are still, in terms of the general facade, are still intact. Similar here where we have some of the wood windows replaced with aluminum windows, but for the most part, that's been the only modifications that have occurred from the street elevation. So again, some of the key character defining features that I touched on before are representative here, as well as the aluminum windows that I touched on that have been replaced. So in terms of the permit history, again, this property constructed in 1908 per the county assessor. There were some residential alterations that were identified in 1937. However, from that earlier photo, as well as the current conditions, it doesn't appear that there's any significant modifications that occurred during that time frame, as well as to current date. There was a patio cover that was installed in the back of the house. However, it's not visible from the street. And then there was an electrical service panel that was installed back in '87. So similar to the other property, this property does have an extensive owner-resident history. However, one thing that does remain the same is Leonard Rowe was in ownership of the property for about 50 years. And his sister Diane cites as now the current owner. And that's a brief summary of the ownership of the history. And Again, same criteria in terms of evaluation and eligibility for historic significance is really its association with that time and socioeconomic period within Redondo Beach as really a working class coastal beach city that's reflective of, some of its owners being one of the priests in the city as well as the mechanics. So definitely this style of home was reflective of that period of development and home style, as well as it's definitely distinct of that period. And then again, a contributor to the overall block in that area and the number of historic landmarks, as well as the Garnett Street district. So staff is recommending that the Public Amenities Commission support the landmark designation as well as the CEQA determination that it is exempt. And so that concludes staff's presentation. Staff and the owner's representative are here for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Roy?
No questions.
Chair Morocco?
Yeah.
And would you like to speak again on this property as well, or are you good?
Pretty much the same thing, but to simplify the name.
Would you come to the mic, please? Thank you.
It's pretty much the same, but to make the name on the property easier, it would be Rowe, because that's my mom's maiden name. And my uncle was the one that bought both of the houses, so out of respect for him, that would be the best, is Rowe.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if that...
Just so you know, the recommendation initially was the Thompson Nagel home, because they were historically significant and didn't think that having two properties on the same block with the name Rowe would add to some confusion, but I like your thought, so that's something that this panel can consider if they want the second property specifically named after your uncle.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anybody online that wanted to speak?
There is nobody online.
Okay. With nobody online and having heard from staff and members, interested parties, can we get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Aye as well. And so now we can discuss this item. So let's go down the line here. Chair Morocco, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, this one actually had a much more fascinating history of the people that lived there over time. As our staff person indicated, this is a working class area. The people who live there, and the reason you see a lot of people living there is it basically embodied the early parts of Redondo Beach where people could barely afford homes and then they were working class. And as a matter of fact, I believe our representative's uncle was, I think, a painter over at one of the aerospace companies. So, I mean, there's a lot of history with, what?
He was the painter and a forklift operator.
Yeah, so again, it embodies the working class roots in the community at the time. I would, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I understand you're going to stay later for staff. You may want to explain during that time about the property taxes and how that's figured out, because I remember my first time when I had to go deal with one of these landmark issues. There's a lot of questions that can come up to just understanding the process. So it may be a good opportunity to explain the property taxes and how that's impacted and how it's calculated. I know there's flyers, but just suggesting that either you do it now or you wait until we get to the part about staff comments.
I think we can do it later.
Okay. Do you have any questions? I'm sorry.
Okay, Commissioner Roy?
No comments, no questions.
And Commissioner Spute?
Yeah, no comments.
Okay. I have a question actually on the CEQA determination for this one. The CEQA determination project address lists 519, but within the body, in the second paragraph, it says the property at 521 Garnett. So I think that's a typo, yeah?
Are you referring to the resolution?
The exemption declaration.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can make that modification.
Okay.
Thank you.
So when we go to vote on that, we're going to vote on it with a correction to that particular page. And as far as I'm concerned, it's really gratifying to be able to add to an already historic district on Garnett Street. That is a fantastic area. I actually had looked at a house on that street myself when we first moved here 11 years ago. So I do know that street. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful street. Within the city, we always talk about overdevelopment and figuring out ways to make things affordable for folks, to have affordable housing. Well, that is the affordable housing, to have homes that not only are representative of a particular time period, but in the way that people want to live. Not everyone needs to be in a particular size house. And we really appreciate when we have the opportunity to be able to designate wonderful homes such as these two homes. So I just wanted to say that. And I really have no questions or other comments related to this particular property. So if somebody would like to make a motion to adopt the resolution, and I'm sorry, Chair Morocco, what was the name that you were recommending as far as?
I was recommending the Thompson Nagel home, which represents two of the people that lived in the first 50 years of the home. I don't have an issue with naming it the Leonard Rowe home either, so I'll leave it to you guys to figure out which you think is more appropriate, or if there's something else you want to consider.
I had a thought on that, actually. I was wondering maybe if we would consider the Reverend Husson House.
There's already one in the city.
So
it's across the street, actually.
And that answers that question. Thank you, Chair Morocco.
I think I have a notebook with all the names of the homes in the historical on Garnett.
I share the concern with having multiple homes in the historic district with the same last name. I think sticking with the Thompson Nagel house helps show the diversity of the residents of this historic neighborhood.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution?
I move to adopt the resolution, including the Thompson Nagel home as a name.
And do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair Morocco, you're
I'm
abstaining?
abstaining on this.
And I'm an aye as well, so that motion passes. Congratulations. And so let's see here.
Turn back to me.
I need to read the resolution. I have to get back to the page, pardon me. Okay. So resolution of the Public Amenities Commission of the City of Redondo Beach, California, approving a historic landmark designation for the property located at 519 Garnett Street, pursuant to the requirements of Chapter 4, Title 10 of the Redondo Beach Municipal Code, including the names Thompson Nagel as the official designation of the house. All right, and at this time, I'm going to turn it back to you, Chair Morocco, correct?
Thank you. Thank you for coming down here, Sean. I appreciate that. So in regards to your mother, and I appreciate the input from the new commissioners on it. As I said, it's really hard to get thrown into these public hearings, your first meeting, especially since we were having them. That's what the urgency was, to get you on this commission. You'll see this is one of the proactive things we get to do on the commission itself. So I moved commission referrals to staff as the next item N, and that's because we have a staff person from community development. And there is a number of things that I think that we'd like to, at least from over the months, get some feedback from you as the representative. So we'll start with Commissioner Glossi. Do you have any things you would like to refer to staff?
Not in particular at this time, but thank you very much.
Okay. Commissioner Rowe? Do you have anything you want to refer to staff?
Not at this time.
Okay. Commissioners? Hugh?
Not at this time. Thank you.
So I've got a long list, and most of it is an educational thing as well. So I'm hoping that you would actually be able to address it. The first thing is we have a CLG app year ending coming up on September 30th. So is there, I want to know if you can explain to our new commissioners what the CLG is all about, what kind of personal information from them is going to go in, how do they modify it if they want to modify their paperwork that gets attached to it. So hoping you could at least address that, and then I'll go through the rest of my list.
Sure. No, that's great to bring up. Because as part of the responsibilities here in reviewing historic properties, is the city is a certified local government, which basically means the city has had its historic preservation code reviewed by the state in terms of alignment with state and national criteria or federal criteria for historic preservation, and makes the city eligible for grants as well as additional support. And so it's definitely a good and beneficial thing to be a part of, as well as it helps align the reviews of properties that are, historically significant, ensuring compliance with CEQA. And so ultimately, as part of all that, one of the key things that the city's responsibilities is to, as Commissioner Morocco mentioned, is to complete an annual report. The reporting period is basically from the beginning of October to the end of September the following year. And basically reporting in terms of the relative activities, designations, what is the city's process, has there been any changes to the ordinance, those types of things, just to get a gauge on if there's any changes. And so as part of that, that's one piece to it. The other piece and responsibilities to the commission is essentially continued education. That can come in many of different forms, from staff presentations in terms of educating on historic preservation and Mills Act, Secretary of Interior Standards, those types of things. But there's also many other training programs that are available online. Obviously everything's online now. And so California Preservation Foundation is probably one of the most well-known and puts out a lot of really great training opportunities. The city does have some budget to pay for those. They do stuff almost every month. And so it's easy to hop on and access, and sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's, half a day. They also have a statewide conference that's usually a couple of days. And so that's a great training opportunity to get either something really, kind of small and concise, or, more. And so we will be circulating opportunities for those trainings as they become available. And so the minimum is really to participate in at least one training a year. staff may be providing at least one training a year. So if you're showing up to one of these hearings, then you would be getting that. But again, it's just a really convenient, easily accessible, high quality historic preservation training opportunity through California Preservation Foundation. And in addition to that, as part of that annual reporting, it includes a documentation or resumes, if you will, from the commissioners and as well as staff on their, primarily historic preservation focused experience or related experiences to be incorporated in, and that is annually. So doesn't necessarily need to be personal information in terms of like contact phone numbers and whatnot, but just general resume of experience. And so we'll be reaching out to you as part of, as once the reporting is coming up so that we can get that information to you if you want to make any tune-ups or adjustments to any of your documentation. And so that once it's submitted, we'll or in advance of submitting, we'll provide kind of a summary of the reporting to the Public Amenities Commission, just so that you're aware of it, and that also helps in a little piece of training as well. So
I wanted to add to that actually, because there's a workshop that's coming up on September 15th and September 22nd. It's called Applying the Secretary of the Interior Standards, Making Consistent Defensible Decisions on Historic Properties. And I actually, even though I've served on preservation for 3 years and 2 years on public amenities, I'm going to be taking this particular workshop because there's always something to be gleaned from that. There's also one on saving historic signs. It could be possibly of interest for us as well. We don't have that many signs here in Redondo, but it's that one's coming up on August 27th.
The 29th, but okay, well, thank you. And by the way, John was a former speaker at one of these California Preservation Foundation things. That one's an easy one to get online. When I first came on, I will tell you that I was worried because I'm making decisions on things that I'm not an expert in, and it really kind of brings you up to speed really quickly. And they're good programs. Some of them are an hour, which are usually free, and some of them go for 3 hours, like the one with the signs. Which, speaking of which, I'm going to endeavor on a sign survey. If you have any tips or anything that will help assess it. I went to the neon sign program already, and I'm going to do the one on the 29th, but one of the points I kept on emphasizing is you got to do a survey to figure out what's in the community. So if you have any tips on that, or you guys want to join along, it's just a walking tour of the area. So just, you can pass that on if you have anything on that. We have had a lot of interest, and I've been getting feedback from people on the gateway sign. Is there anything being done on that, on the city's end, as far as either preserving that sign or doing something with the sign or participating in that process?
I haven't been involved in any discussions regarding the gateway sign, so that's something that we'll have to respond back to you on.
Okay, and then you also responded to me when we were doing a historic district sign, and you came back and said, hey, we're looking at it. And then I said, well, maybe it's a pilot program. There's a sign that's already with the city manager, but I don't know if community development is participating in that process. We originally sent it up to community services for a font check to make sure it's consistent. So do you know anything about the historic district sign?
I'll have to follow up with community services and the city manager to see where that is at.
Okay. The landmark sidewalk program, that's going to be in our committee report again, but basically putting some sort of marker in front of each landmark that recognizes it. I'm one of those people who don't like people walking up to the front of the property to see the big placard on it. So we thought the sidewalk would work, but I've not gotten any feedback yet from community development on some of the ideas that have been thrown out there. So if you know any, great. If you not, can you please refer it on to the rest of the community development staff?
All right.
CLG grants, you talked a little bit about that. Do you have an inventory of grants that we may want to look at and at least try to help you prepare?
So it's been a while since I looked at the CLG grants, but in terms of, I think that there's a range of eligibility criteria in terms of efforts that funding is available to. And so I think it really just depends on what is the city council and city manager's directive in terms of what grants and focus of what that grant would be in terms of pursuing. So that would be something that, making a recommendation to them would be probably that next step.
Okay. And if you can tell us when the deadlines are, if you know when that's coming up. Wilderness Park landmark, the mayor, I guess, requested that we go in the National Register, and I know we've talked. Have you gotten any of the files from the Community Development Director that I gave him a couple of years ago?
Our last email exchange was you were going to send those documents to me.
Okay.
So if you can forward those to me, then we can begin working on that.
Okay. One of the other things was I've been going to the council asking them to amend the Mills Act contract to basically include what's commonly now called the Kevin Addendum, that if you are you're in a landmark property that may be part of a historic district geographically, that you would be able to have consent as part of your Mills Act contract. Again, I've not heard anything back from community services, but the way it was left with the council is it has to come from community services to make that make that proposal to the council. And since we have two historic landmarks coming up for Mills Act contracts, it's probably time to revisit it and see if they're willing to throw in the language that would allow certain properties to be included as part of the district that are landmarked already, because benefits basically the same. So if you can follow up with that, that would be great. Sorry, and have you approached Kevin at all recently? Because now we have.
So are you saying Kevin amendment as in that particular property owner? Or are you saying a statewide, the state has made an amendment to include property? Because right now the program is opt-in.
Yes.
I'm confused. Is this a state amendment that occurred?
It's not an amendment.
Okay.
It's an addendum. So we have a Mills Act contract that comes out of community services, and it basically gives certain property tax benefits, as you know, to the homeowners.
Right.
And that's when they become a landmark.
Right.
There are no additional benefits that are being offered when they are becoming a historic district, but the contract runs with the land. So they've already consented to be part of the landmark. This addendum would say if that's proposed as a historic district, that you have already given consent by contract, and so it still runs with the land. So that's what the addendum is. I can get you the language. It's not that extensive, but it has not filtered its way back up from community development. So I'm hoping that you would.
So, but this is not a state thing. This is originated from somewhere else.
No, this is our
state
contract.
Mills Act contracts are pretty standardized templates.
Yes, they are pretty high standardized, and that's the problem with it, because this is an obvious change, and it's not dictated to us from the state. It's dictated by the city. So if the city wants to offer that or include that, that can be added to the contract.
Understood.
Mills Act contract.
Now I understand. Thank you.
Okay. And for our new members, you want to explain the Mills Act since we deferred on that?
Sure. So the Mills Act, interestingly enough, I believe it was established as part of I think it was like a senator in California, Mills. No surprise there. Basically, in the Hotel del Coronado, to provide property tax savings for historic properties that are, usually under continual maintenance, just due to the, age period and what responsibilities in terms of maintaining these properties. And so ultimately, it offered through an agreement between the city, and you don't have to be a CLG to be able to offer Mills Acts. So any city can really enter into a Mills Act agreement. So it's agreement between the city as well as the property owner. And basically it's a rolling 10-year term. So every year it extends a year, but it's 10 years. That there's a property tax savings that goes with that. So there's a lot of factors that go into, well, how much am I going to save? If you've owned the property for 50 years, Prop 13 is going to be, it basically takes into account many different factors. One is Prop 13 and where you sit with that. It also looks at what's called the income capitalization rate, which essentially looks at the property in terms of what it would be able to rent for. It takes into account costs and expenditures for maintaining the property. They also look to see, is this owner occupied? Is it a rental property? And so it factors in a lot of different things that the county assessor basically goes through and does an analysis to see, okay, what is the best outcome for this particular property? Because in many cases, if you just purchase the property and you're going to the Mills Act, then you're obviously going to be seeing the best property tax savings there, which can be close to 50%. And one great thing about the Mills Act is that once it's recorded and applied to the property, it's transferable with zero effort. So once the Mills Act agreement is completed and finalized, the city records that at the county, it records to the property, and it transfers. A couple of things related to the Mills Act is, like I said before, it's a kind of like a rolling 10 years is probably the best way to explain it. And so if at any point in time a property owner wants to no longer participate in the Mills Act program, there's kind of two ways to exiting from that. One is that you either notify the county assessor's office and then they slowly roll you back to your current rate over the period of 10 years. Or if you want to exit immediately, there's a penalty of 12.5% of the current value of the property that is paid by the property owner. So those are things that are part of the Mills Act. And so it's a great program to allow property owners to continually maintain their properties, which it can be very costly. And so it is one of the incentive programs that many cities offer. So that's a quick snapshot of the Mills Act for you.
And there's actually on the website a whole colorful brochure that explains the timing on it. So, you can get an idea. And by the way, I do have the language if you want to take it back with you again. Okay, so you had something for...
Yeah, sorry. When I said before that I had no referrals, I meant no new referrals, as in what I had included in the blue folder, the referral to staff for the properties on PCH, those historic landmarks. Just wanted to make sure you saw those four, because I didn't see them on the Historic Resources Survey or the Historic Register, but I was really curious about them because they're a grouping of four, and from what I understand, they're owned by the same person, all four properties. That's what I was told by one of the business owners there. So might be worthwhile to follow up because these would be great to not only landmark, but maybe do a little historic district right there.
Okay, and we heard from one of our public members today about this cultural district, the Brazilian Cultural District. Is that something you would give us information so that we can explore and learn more about it? Or is that?
Yeah, I will be exploring and learning more about it too. I'm not familiar with the cultural district, but it sounds really interesting. It sounds like there's a lot of great information out there, as well as a really unique area and a contribution to that area. So it's definitely worth exploring for sure.
And that I think is in our ordinance as well. So, because it talks about historical and cultural and stuff like that. So, okay, I have a couple of referrals to staff that are follow-ups for our liaison. We had asked in June about having other departments come to our meetings on a pretty regular basis, and I do appreciate community development coming today, and I see we have somebody from community services as well. Did you get any feedback from anybody on whether that's doable? Okay, so did they say, besides conveying it, did they say that they would?
We know we did not receive any direct feedback on that. We do try to communicate all the referrals in an efficient manner to the departmental liaisons, and I think by and large they do an excellent job of following up. We have not heard any specific on regular attendance at the meetings.
Okay. There was also a referral from the council on the needs analysis. You
Yes.
did it in the last report. I don't think I saw anything on this report on it.
We're currently working with our public works departments in progress. So we do have, I don't want to say a plan yet, but I think the effort is to work on coalescing around a plan to bring to commission for review and input. So that is forthcoming. I can't give you an ETA on that, but I just met with staff this week. So we hope to bring back a presentation that kind of gives our ideas as far as moving forward and gathering public input from all stakeholders and gathering information so we can actually move forward with something that's well informed by the community.
Okay, well, and my last question, we've talked before about, when I was on the library commission, about having a map room that has all the stuff. Well, I think I found a better place for doing maps. It's right where the phone books used to be.
Oh, okay.
And you can put on cardboard some of the older maps so people can pull it down and interact with them. But it's unused space and it would be real easy to put that all together. So I'm just throwing that out as a suggestion, not a complete referral, but I would love to explore it with you some more.
Thank you.
Okay, and did you also give our new members the library tour?
I gave Commissioner Roy a tour. I have yet to give Commissioner Spoot a tour.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it, though.
That's a real treat to see. We have one of the top-notch libraries in the area, and we have one of the top-notch directors for the library in the area, so it's really a treat.
Yeah, I would suggest you find time to do it. It was really impressive and great facility.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it then.
Okay, so if anybody doesn't have any other things for staff, then we'll move on to the next order, which is item K, continued item from previous agendas. We don't have any.
No.
Items for discussion prior to action. We already went over L1. L2 is the subcommittee review and project update. So we've had a little bit of turnover, as you may have seen. So we evaluate it every October in our meeting. But if there's something that's interesting to you, by all means, we can have you do something with the subcommittee at this point. And we've listed on, it's part of the agenda on item L2 is a list of all the different subcommittees. So we have, Commissioner Lang is still on this committee until we adjourn, as far as I know. But so we may have one or two openings on the minor alteration subcommittee. Do you want to describe what you guys do on that?
Yes, so the minor alterations subcommittee basically reviews minor alterations to landmark designated properties. So we may get a replacement of a door or windows, excuse me, siding, something to that effect. We haven't had anything in probably about a year, I'd say. So it used to be more frequent when the preservation, when it was the Preservation Commission, so it's possible. You never know. It depends on what people are doing to their homes. And it's actually quite nice. It doesn't take very long. Usually it's maybe half an hour worth of your time for the meeting, and we do them via Zoom.
Okay. Do you have a report?
Not for the subcommittee, no, because we haven't done anything for.
What I want to do is we'll go through these committees. If you guys want to participate at the end of that, I will ask if there's any committees you want to do, then we can put you on a committee. So the facilities user subcommittee, that one has basically been completely gutted at this point. And that's the one that ends up having, you're on a board of Little League, for example. Sunset was one of the facilities that they use, and you have 3 different parks, I think, for the
For Redondo.
Little
Yeah.
League. So that would be the interaction and getting the feedback from the leagues themselves, or users, AOISO for the soccer field, or we even had a request regarding use of after-school facilities for different kind of programs. So that's what that is. You were going to say something about that?
I'm sorry, I was just to apologize to interrupt. I think all the points you make are very relevant, but the idea as liaison that I had was to bring back a discussion on the subcommittees in the future so that new commissioners could discuss each of the subcommittees, potentially new committees. This particular designation on the agenda is mostly for updates from the subcommittees. And to your point, many of the subcommittees were impacted by the recent loss of commissioners. But feel free to ask questions and provide updates on the commissions. But it might be worthy to agendize a subcommittee discussion item when the commission's a little bit more full.
Yeah, except October, we're going to do this whole exercise with the whole 7 people, and we'll talk about whether we have a September meeting or not coming up. But if any of the commissioners here want to start for the 2 months,
absolutely,
that's why I'm going through it. Volunteer Acknowledgement Program Subcommittee, again, that one is completely gutted. So, but that's where we present to the Parks and Recs volunteer an award, and there's a whole process involved with it. And maybe we can get one of the people who used to be on it to explain the process, because it seemed long and how it was done. But I assume that that's something that, I know that Commissioner Rowe said there was things in the pipeline, so I don't know where that pipeline is at this point.
We could bring the staff liaison back. I make sure that Deputy Director Orta, I believe, has been looped in on that, so I can verify offline with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bringing history to community subcommittee. This is an opportunity to do projects that emphasize history. It came out of the Historical Commission. So it's like we have the outside the Path of History marker. That's one of the projects that we did. I'm not showing the design, but we do have a park that's dedicated to a family that was in the World War II, were taken from the community, and it's dedicated to them and what they did and what they accomplished. And then also about the internment camp. It's right across from Jefferson Elementary, so we're hoping it's an opportunity to engage. That's one of our projects. The materials, the signs are being fabricated now. That's not hotly, I can disclose that. I've been disclosing that, but that's going to come up at some point in the next 4 or 5 weeks, hopefully, for being distributed. So that's the bringing history to commission. I have no new report other than the signs have been approved and are in fabrication, so we'll be picking a location in the Ito Park open space shortly, and then we'll turn our attentions to more Path of History stuff. Franklin Park Subcommittee, you want to explain that one and your thinkings on that one?
So Franklin Park, I served on the subcommittee for this, and we basically had input on an all abilities playground. And it's going to look fabulous. It's going to be installed, as I hear, in September. So really, our work is pretty much done for that. And so I'm going to recommend that we sunset this particular committee. And then if there's something that comes up, we can recreate it. But I don't think that we have any further work to do for it. That way we can just take it off our list.
So is that a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to close the Franklin Park Playground Subcommittee.
Okay, I'll second that. Do you guys have any questions about that one?
No.
Okay, any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to I don't know if the words terminate or close, or what did you want to call it?
Terminate, it's fine.
Okay, terminate the Franklin Park Playground Subcommittee. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, so we no longer have that to be added to our inventory. Alta Vista Park Pickleball Subcommittee, Commissioner Galassi, you want to talk about that one?
So we have received at the park these dividers, the safety dividers. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go down to Alta Vista Park. We had one of the courts that were formerly a tennis court was converted to 4 pickleball courts. And there is a net that separates 2 courts and 2 courts. However, those sides are opportunities for stray balls to go into the other courts, and they're usually coming from behind you so you don't see them. So sometimes folks would like to put a line of their pickleball bags. Sometimes they'll turn over the garbage can or put a bench there. So that was not appropriate and also a safety hazard. So we had asked community services if they could get these little screens, and those have been placed there. They're removable. And we don't have anything new. However, I do not want to close this committee just yet because we still have ongoing things that could come up and questions regarding open play, how many people are allowed for open play, because that was a topic that's come up. It was fluctuating between 30 and 40 people, and we have a lot of people who love to play. So I'd just like to leave that open until that sort of settles down a little bit, Chair.
Okay, and the Preservation Outreach Subcommittee, you have anything on that?
I do. I have a report that I submitted. We had a meeting with John Champa on a future event that we're going to be doing at the Historic Library on November 21st. We've identified a potential time period of 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. with blocks of time before and afterward for setup. And the committee report is pretty detailed, so if you've had an opportunity to read it, if there are any questions on it, I'm happy to answer that. I believe that you were able to get us an answer as to if we were going to be able to use the GIS for, yes, so that's a yes. So we'll be able to outreach to those 150 or so landmark property owners. Those are the folks to which we will send U.S. mail notification of this particular event. And we have a meeting on Monday morning. I have some outstanding questions for Director Orta that I had emailed and sent her a follow-up email because we have some loose ends that without her, without knowing what exactly the agreement is between the city and Made by Meg as far as what we can use, what's available to us as far as tables and chairs, and we would like to offer some light refreshments, coffee, tea, that sort of thing. So we have some open questions for that, and once we have that, we'll be able to put together a good budget. So any questions on that particular report? Do you have anything you wanted to add?
The mic next to you.
I guess not.
The next one next to you is on too. Okay.
There we go. No, I think we had a very productive first meeting. A lot has been laid out. And so I think we have a lot of great momentum building from the Riviera Village outreach effort. And so this is in alignment with the city council direction. And I expect it to be a really great event.
Okay, great. Yeah, I do too. I'm excited about it because if anybody's been to the historic library, it's absolutely beautiful in there. So it's exciting to be able to do an event there.
Okay. The next committee report is the research of the history of the LGBT community in Redondo Beach. This one came to us from the city council. They initially wanted us to write a history so that they could do the sculpture from that Cultural Arts Commission is doing, but they had come back to us 2 years earlier asking us to write a more comprehensive report. So if you read the June minutes, it kind of goes through where we are in the process. I attempted to speak to the council. I can't fit my speaking into 3 minutes for whatever reason, so they sent me on my way, and then last month, this commission approved me sending a letter to council that explained some of the options, and I'm hoping that Commissioner Lang would have taken care of helping with the editing so we can give it to our liaison to tender to the council, but I haven't made any progress on that. But it is all in the June minutes if you want to read about where we are, and there's a whole packet in there on the agenda packet that talks about different cities that do that. And that's my report on that. Recognition Preservation Subcommittee. So this one is just basically, let's come up with some sort of ways that we can recognize our landmarks and our historic districts in the city. And again, I've been waiting for input from community development on it because it involves that we have an estimate from Public Works with regards to how much it costs to put in the bricks in the sidewalks. So hopefully we can get some direction what community development thinks is appropriate and move forward with that. And most of the stuff that's going to be coming out is going to be privately funded, not publicly funded. Budget Subcommittee. This was a committee that was designed because once a year or maybe twice a year, we get a request from the city manager to give some suggestions of what goes in the budget. So we had Commissioner Yusufi, who's again an expert on that, came up with a structure to do that. So when they did come to us, we could say, these are the projects we wanted to do, and we would be able to ease into the process as opposed to having multiple meetings. You will find that to get something on the agenda takes a lot of effort, and we may at the end of a meeting say, hey, we want to agendize something, and that's the way you properly get it. But we can have instances where staff says, we don't have time to do it. This is probably a little bit longer meeting than we had to have because we had 2 public hearings on it, but it's kind of an opportunity to participate in the budget. So those are the committee reports. My recommendation, if there is a committee that you want to be on, you can say it now because it's not going to violate the Brown Act because we only have 4 of us. So if 3 of us want to get together and be part of an existing committee, I don't even think we have to vote on that because you can just contact somebody, either myself or Commissioner Galassi, to, say, hey, I want to participate. We don't have to take any formal action because we're not even close to that, but you're welcome to do it. So if there's something that interests you, you can tell us now, or you don't have to tell us now. You can tell us by the next meeting. You can always get in touch with us through our liaison, and you can participate in that way. So I don't know if you have any comments or anything.
Yeah, I will say that I do have interest in the facilities user subcommittee.
Okay. Well, then there's nothing saying you can't meet with yourself and start coming up with some ideas and exploring what's there. And at some, if you want assistance, I'm happy to work with you on it just so you kind of get comfortable and get your momentum going. I don't know if Commissioner Galassi wants to do that either, but we can at least get you started on that. And you'll be the chair of that subcommittee.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and then come October 1st, we will actually go through the whole thing and reallocate it and decide how long these committees should be around for, which is usually the fiscal year. Okay, anything else? You don't have to commit today if you don't want to. Okay, great. I think that takes care of item L2. Now we move, can we get a motion to receive and file all that stuff that we just talked about?
I'll move to receive and file.
Okay, I'll second. Any public comment?
No public comment.
Anybody in the audience want to say anything? Okay, by the way, that's Jack Meyer. He is the cultural arts manager in the city. He's the liaison to the Cultural Arts Commission as well. And if you want anything done in the city, he's one of those people who actually get a lot of stuff done in a very short period of time. So he's really worth getting to know. And that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so that passes unanimously. Okay, so now we move on to item M, which is the items from staff.
L3.
There's no L3, not on the agenda.
That was the Gateway Park new amenities.
Okay, but you can't change the agenda once it's published to the public. That's the problem. That's why I asked if it was a typo.
Yeah, that was a blue folder item. Lane, you want to expand on that?
Yeah, that can be, since it was, I believe, part of the subcommittee reports, if you want to go over that again, what you
Yeah,
put in that report.
We can reopen the subcommittee reports if you want to include that in there. I listened to the council meeting yesterday. It still hasn't worked its way through to our liaison. If it's something you want to agendize for the next meeting, we can do that.
It was just an FYI that I wanted to just.
Okay. So do you want to agendize the discussion next month?
Well, here's the thing is what I found out is that it will be agendized. It's this presentation that I made to the council yesterday is being referred to us.
It is being referred,
yeah,
but that
so
doesn't
it
put it
will
on
be-
the agenda, unfortunately. Or at
Well,
least
it
it doesn't
will
do
be-
the timing on that.
It will be an agenda item,
Okay,
at which time we can then create a subcommittee for it.
okay.
Okay.
Did you want to explain your concept briefly?
Sure.
or-
Can I do that? Even though we
It's
closed
part
the
of, well, it's,
subcommittee?
I don't have a problem with that. Do you have a problem?
If you want to briefly describe the items.
Just for our new folks here, so I made a small presentation as a private citizen yesterday at the council meeting. There is a new park, if you will, that's right by the King Harbor sign, and it has a lovely pathway, but it really could use some amenities that would draw people there from our community. Right now, there's a lot of open space that would benefit, for example, from the bocce courts, or doing a meditation labyrinth. And what I saw down in Solana Beach a few years back is a pet memorial pathway. So, you know, I presented this to the council in hopes that perhaps we could do some new amenities to this park that would include the community as part of putting it together, collaborations also with Cultural Arts Commission. And yeah, so they referred it to us to work on it, so.
To make recommendations. Okay, so
That's it.
then I guess there's nothing you want to add at this point. You're just going to leave it to our liaison to figure out when it's.
Right, and that referral came at the last city council meeting, so we didn't have time to put anything together for the agenda.
And if you run, it's the best surface for running in the city. It's about a quarter of a mile oval, packed dirt, so you don't have to run on the streets, and it's just absolutely wonderful. So I'm hoping that it gets used as well for that. But in any event, items from staff.
No items from staff.
John, do you have anything from community development?
Not at this time.
Okay. Jack, do you have anything from community services? Okay, so that's a no for those wanting to see it on the transcript. This is actually a rare instance. We have actually the three departments actually at one meeting for us, which I think is fabulous, and hopefully we can get more of that. I'm curious, did you want to say anything at this meeting, Jack? You've been sitting there very patiently, so I just.
I largely came to say hello to the new members, welcome you aboard, and if there's any way we can be of service over in community services or the cultural arts, please do not hesitate to contact us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we move on to the adjournment, and as I understand the protocols that we have an option, and we have a full commission now, or at least a quorum of it, if we want to have the September meeting or not. I think this is the point where you actually discuss it, and you can shake your head no or say yes or.
No, I mean, you can certainly discuss it.
Okay, so I'm in favor of us continuing on. We have two actively new members. We're not going to have a full commission until our October meeting, but as you can see, we've lost 5 of our members because of attendance. So if you have something conflicting in September, now's the time to say, hey, you know, we don't want to do it. It's not going to count against you for attendance, but I'm just throwing that out there to somebody has something, because I think you're at 1 absence now, or 2?
I have 1.
Let's take a look. We'll verify that.
Yeah, I don't want to lose more commissioners. So, and I don't want to, it's a rolling 12 months. So I just want you to know that's an option. If somebody wants to bring that up, have they been given a calendar of meeting dates, at least through the December?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so let me just tell you what's going on the dates so you have them. Our next meeting would be September 9th. Then we have a meeting on October 14th. And we have a meeting on November 11th, but that's Veterans Day, so City Hall is closed, which means we won't have the staff. So we will have to figure out either an alternative date, so keep that in mind as we're going along, or cancel that meeting because it's on a holiday, and that's an option that we won't be able to look at until October. And then our last meeting of the year will be December 9th. In October, I assume that we will get a new calendar for the full year as well. So those are the things. If I'm not hearing a motion to.
I've got one thing just to mention. I am working with an applicant, and I am anticipating taking the item to September 9th. So hopefully we can have that meeting, because they are eagerly waiting to take their item before
Okay,
you.
and that actually would make sense to have the September meeting, because if it's a Mills Act thing, no, it's not a Mills Act thing,
No.
it's a
It's a,
modification?
yeah,
Okay, it's a CEQA thing, so that's a little bit of different timetable on it, and hopefully you're able to share at some point with the new commissioners what that entails, but I assume that's going to be in your presentation since you do such wonderful presentations. So,
thank you. Yes, it will be public hearing notice item. I don't think we can discuss it this evening since it's not agendized, but there is a project that's coming forward to you in September.
and just know that even though you can't get the stuff until like 72 hours before with the public notices, if you're sharp, you can go around the city and you can see different signs go up. It gets in the newspaper, so you will know in advance which public projects will be coming up, even if you can't get it from the department. Right?
I believe things are posted about a week in advance. So there's advance notification, as well as staff's always available for any questions in advance of a hearing. If you have any items, questions as you're reviewing the public hearing materials.
So then we are having a September meeting.
I'm recommending we have the September meeting. And again, if you have any desire to participate in any of the committees, that's a good time to actually get that going before we get that. So what I am now looking for is a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Anybody second?
I second.
Okay, before I go have a vote on it, I need to read this into the record. The next meeting of the Redondo Beach Public Amenities Commission will be a regular meeting to be held at 6:30 p.m. on September 9th, 2026 in the Redondo Beach City Council Chambers at 415 Diamond Street, Redondo Beach. It's the intention of the City of Redondo Beach to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act in all respects. If as an attendee or as a participant at this meeting, you will need special assistance beyond what is normally provided by the city will attempt to accommodate you in every reasonable manner. Please contact the city clerk's office at 310-318-0656 at least 48 hours prior to the meeting to inform us of your particular needs and to determine if accommodation is feasible. Please advise us at that time if you will need accommodations to attend or participate in the meeting on a regular basis. An agenda packet will be available 24 hours a day at www.redondo.org under the City Clerk tab. Can I get a roll call on this one?
Absolutely. Commissioner Spoot.
Aye.
Commissioner Roy.
Aye.
Commissioner Galassi.
Aye.
Chair Morocco.
Aye. So we are adjourned, and I could use this lovely gavel that's sitting here.
Nice.
Thank you.